Usman Ali Khan Bahadur, better known as Asaf Jah VII, was the last Nizam of Hyderabad in India. A Nizam was the title of the Islamic rulers of the princely state of Hyderabad in India, which existed from 1724 to 1949. He was born in 1886 and ascended the throne in 1911. His fortune came from immense landholdings, royalties from diamond mines, and a complex system of tribute and taxation. He was so wealthy that the famed Jacob diamond, one of the largest diamonds in the world, was reportedly kept casually in his office as a paperweight. Asaf Jah was an unconditional ally of the British colonial government. During the First World War, he contributed money, troops, and supplies worth $100 million, equivalent to about $3.2 billion today. The enormous private wealth of Asaf Jah stood in hefty contrast to the extreme poverty of his peasant subjects. Especially before the Second World War, he was considered the richest man in the world. Even when he was deposed from power as Nizam, he retained a gigantic fortune. Many of his numerous descendants are still involved in legal disputes over shares of the wealth, which from 1970 onward was managed by 54 trust funds. At the time of his death, nearly 15,000 people were employed in his palaces, in addition to a bodyguard of 3,000 men drawn from the local Muslim nobility. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Yoshiaki Tsutsumi was at times the richest person in the world, topping the Forbes list of billionaires. Born in 1934, he inherited the Cebu Empire from his father, consisting of railways, hotels, resorts, and department stores. He became especially wealthy through real estate in Tokyo when property prices there ranked among the highest in the world. At one point, his fortune was estimated at over $20 billion. In addition to his business ventures, he promoted winter sports and supported the 1998 Nagano Olympic Games. For his contributions to international ice hockey, Tsutsumi was inducted into the Builder category of the International Ice Hockey Federation Hall of Fame in 1999. But his rise ended dramatically. Tsutsumi was charged with financial crimes and lost most of his wealth and influence. In 2005, he was arrested. His story is emblematic of the rise and fall of Japan during the economic bubble. Mansa Musa, ruler of the Mali Empire in the 14th century, is often considered the richest person of all time. From 1312 onward, he governed a realm that controlled vast gold mines. Estimates suggest that Mali at the time supplied nearly half of the world's gold. Musa became famous for his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. With tens of thousands of attendants and immense quantities of gold, he distributed so much wealth along the way that in Cairo, he even disrupted the local economy. He gave away so much gold that its price fell, and the resource temporarily lost value. Yet Musa was more than just wealthy. Under his reign, Timbuktu became a center of learning, culture, and trade. However, his successors were unable to hold the empire together, and Mali eventually declined in importance. Carlos Slim Helou, born in 1940 in Mexico City, became one of the richest men in the world through shrewd investments and control over telecommunications. His father, a Lebanese immigrant, taught him business acumen from an early age. The decisive moment came in the 1980s. During a severe financial crisis, Slim bought numerous companies at low prices and restored them to profitability. With America Movil, the largest mobile phone provider in Latin America, he massively expanded his empire. In 2010, he even surpassed Bill Gates as the richest person in the world. Despite his immense wealth, Slim is considered relatively modest and is strongly committed to education and infrastructure projects in Mexico. But there is also criticism, since his personal fortune amounts to nearly 5% of Mexico's entire economic output. Slim Helou, who is not related to Slim Shady, has not been the richest person in the world since 2013, but he remains the wealthiest Mexican. John Klug was born in Germany in 1914 and came to the United States as a half-orphan at the age of 8. After becoming an American citizen upon arrival, He was drafted into the U.S. Army during World War II and served from 1941 to 1945. Later, the immigrant child rose to become the richest man in America. Klug built his fortune in the media business by buying small radio and television stations and consolidating them into the Metro Media Group, which at the time was considered the largest privately owned broadcasting company in the United States. In the 1980s, he sold his company to Rupert Murdoch for billions, a deal that placed him at the top of the Forbes list. After the sale, he largely withdrew from business life and became known primarily as a philanthropist and benefactor. Daniel K. Ludwig, born in 1897, was an American shipping magnate and entrepreneur who ranked among the richest men of his time. Starting with just a small boat, he built a global shipping empire. He became especially wealthy through oil tankers and the transport of raw materials. Ludwig was extremely reclusive, which earned him the nickname the Invisible Billionaire. He avoided the press like the plague and gave only one interview in his lifetime, which he granted to Fortune magazine in 1957. Beyond shipping, he also invested in massive projects such as the notorious Jari project in the Amazon, where he attempted to establish a modern industrial complex in the middle of the rainforest, a venture that ultimately failed. Nevertheless, his fortune remained immense, and through his foundation he supported cancer research well beyond his death. Stephen Girard, born in France in 1750, arrived in Philadelphia as a young seaman and became one of the wealthiest men of the early United States. His fortune was initially built through overseas trade, particularly with China, eventually accumulating a large estate that included a slave plantation in Louisiana. A 2007 Fortune magazine article estimated him to be the fourth richest American in history. He became famous during the War of 1812. When the U.S. government was nearly bankrupt, Girard used his private wealth to purchase government bonds, effectively financing the war and saving the entire nation from financial collapse. Having no children, Girard devoted much of his fortune to philanthropy, especially to the education and welfare of orphans. His estate continues to support charitable causes to this day. Robert Clive. Robert Clive, better known as Clive of India, was a British officer who amassed great wealth in the 18th century. Born in 1725, he began his career with the British East India Company. His decisive success came with the victory at the Battle of Plassey in 1757, which brought large parts of India under British control. He laid the foundation for Britain's dominance in India. Clive himself profited enormously from land grants, bribes, and trade privileges, becoming one of the richest men of his time, though at the expense of the Indian population. His legacy remains controversial to this day. Despite his immense wealth, Clive was not a happy man. He became addicted to opium and died by suicide at the age of 49.